Okay, I'm going to walk you through just how to do this, how to maybe think through it. I'm going to give you an example. I haven't done this yet. I'm going to be making this up as I go so you can see my thought process while I go to help model that a little bit. There's also an example in Canvas of an early literacy in kindergarten, but I'm going to start a brand new one. So first of all, we're going to be looking at AI in your content in your field and thinking about equity and patterns and how it might represent that content. And then after that, it's about turning it into a story and product, and that's going to be a separate video. So to start with, we have this template and it has a lot of tips as we go. So first thing, your expertise is the instrument, your expertise and your experiences. Use that to collaborate with AI and do the investigation. Don't just go off the generic. And then don't just look for right and wrong. Look at things like what's missing, how it organizes and frames information, assumptions, perspectives. Really think about someone without your expertise. What might they miss in what they're doing? So the first thing to do is explore a content area. And we want something we have expertise in. And I haven't done this one. I'm going to do orchestra teaching. I'm going to do orchestra teaching. And I'm going to focus on, I can see a lot of orchestra teachers asking for recommendations of music for orchestra classes. Okay, so I know quite a bit about the different music, at least that was available a few years ago, and about the types of things and patterns to look for and do. And so I'm going to try to explore that. I went ahead and make the text green so it's just clear what I'm adding here. So the next one is what equities or societal patterns exist that it might replicate, or even just oversimplifications in the content area. So it might kind of have a difficulty with certain patterns or certain content difficulties, perpetuate inaccurate information even, or oversimplify nuanced information. So I'm going to go back my green text and I'm going to do bullet points. One thing is finding diverse music. It might focus on traditional classical music instead of providing a variety of types of music. Another thing is it might focus too much on what students like and neglect, and I don't know if it'll do this, exposing them to more depth in music. It might choose music that focuses just on technique rather than developing their musical sense and experiences. So I don't know if it's going to do this. This is just me thinking through what it might do. So the next part is to explore whether it reproduces these patterns. So what could I ask it? What context could I vary? So I'm going to go back to non-italic green text. And one thing I could do is ask for a curriculum for orchestra classes for beginning, intermediate, and advanced. That's one thing I could do. I could ask it to share specific technique or maybe even not technique, but share reasons for why it recommends, because that'll tell me like a little more, not that what it's thinking, but what patterns it's picking up on, reasons for why it recommends the music. And then I could specify, I could change the city or school type, etc. I could do its in-school program or after-school program. That might be different too, and see what it changes. Okay, so I'm just gonna think, what might be some reasons that it might give different types of stuff. What might it try to customize? Now, it has this thing that if you have trouble with brainstorming, you can use a large language model to help you with that. Now, I pretty much knew this pretty well, and I was able to do it myself. If you're really struggling, you can go and you can say something like this. I'm going to do this in Gemini today from Google, and I'm going to say, I'm trying to explore potential biased or inequitable patterns AI might represent in orchestra teaching. what might be some ways I could experiment with that by asking LLMs to create things and analyzing what it creates. And I'm going to be a little specific. Give me a list of different suggestions because I don't want it to just say one thing. And I would do thinking. A lot of time there's different different types. In Gemini, you can choose thinking. I would do that for this type of thing. And I'm going to go ahead and run it and see what it comes up with. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and see what it says. It's a vital project. Thank you very much. Here's some problems. The repertoire and essential canon, that's kind of similar to what I said. Create a 4-year curriculum for high school string orchestra. Look at demographic of composers. Ooh, I didn't think of that. The demographics of the composers are good. Women, people of color, what eras are they from, what musical eras. I hadn't thought about that. Oh, here's another one, 10 most. So these are pretty good. Instrument stereotyping. Oh, I didn't think about that either. Trying to see like what instrument they should play in the orchestra and why. That's a good idea. And so it's just kind of giving me some different ideas for things I could try. And these are pretty good. And what I can do, I can have it help me become more specific with my experimentation for the next step if I want. So the next step, I'm actually going to copy this in here, and you can even just highlight and copy here. And I'm going to actually come to my template here, if it'll open for me, and I'm going to actually paste that. I'm going to take off the, okay, I'm going to do it in green. I'm just going to paste that, okay, so I can see. And so I can show what it thought, and I would put, like, if I participated in the back and forth, I might do that if I don't get as good of a response. So then after I do that, then I might be able to go fill out these other ones better. So the next part is my exploration. So I'm going to use the tools to generate content to my focus area. So here's some tips. Every time I want to start a new chat so that it doesn't use the previous context for everyone, I want to do the same prompt multiple times because it has some randomness. We want to make sure it's not just one time. I want to be systematic. I could try different tools, and then capturing what you do is good because that'll help you look at them later. And because we're going to be creating this communication element, so images will be really useful for that. So I'm going to do a log. So I'm going to keep with what my idea was, although I really liked a lot of those AI ideas. So I'm going to come up to what I asked for: orchestra curriculum for beginning, intermediate, advanced, and why it recommends it. I'm gonna stick with that one. So I'm going to start a new chat. This doesn't want to work for me today in here, and I'm going to do it in Gemini. And I could do faster thinking. I'm going to do fast so that it doesn't take my video too long here. I am a new orchestra teacher and need to come up with a full year curriculum for 3 classes in junior high. And I'm going to say beginning, intermediate, and advanced. Give me the curriculum, including an explanation of why you recommend each item. Okay? And I'm just going to see what it does. And go ahead and let it run here. Congratulations. Thank you. Mechanics and literacy. So we want a physical foundation, non-instrumental start, bow and D major, decoding the staff, ensemble awareness. Now this doesn't really get them playing, is the first thing I notice, is that this is like the beginning orchestra. Like I don't think that's going to really help them come to learn and appreciate music. It's focused so much on the physical foundation, and that might be good for some people, but for me specifically, I really want them to experience great music. Okay, so what I might do is I might take a screenshot of this so that I have it and I can use it, or I could copy the text in a future presentation. Let's look at intermediate. Again, it's technique and independence. So again, it's focusing a lot on just playing and not as much on that enjoying and diversity. We don't get to artistry till advanced orchestra. And for me, that is a challenge. So that is one thing that I might say. So I'm going to copy the prompt that I used here. And I'm going to say I use Gemini, and I'm going to be specific, Gemini fast, okay? and I'm going to type like it focused on technique, didn't get to artistry until the 3rd year. Now what I might do is I might try this again. So I could repeat it right here like this, try again, and see what it gives me. I can also take this prompt and I can put it in. So now it's giving me some tables. And I'm guessing this is going to be similar because it's pretty, yeah. This one doesn't have ensemble listening list variety till the 2nd year. But I'm going to see a similar pattern probably, but I would do it a few times. So I would record again. This is prompt 2, retry previous prompt. And this is similar, moved, listening, or ensemble awareness to intermediate or something, right? So I'm just gonna catalog what I do, and then I can copy, or this is a nice chart. I could even say, could you create an infographic summary? And that gives me something visual that I can use really well when I'm telling the story, right? So it's describing it right now. I want it to, okay, please create it. The other thing is I can take this prompt, I'm going to copy the prompt, and I can go to ChatGPT, and I can see and have it do the same thing. And I can see if it does something similar or something different once it's loaded. And I'm going to leave it, this one pretty much instant. I'm just going to let it, well, we'll do a complex for this one. We'll go ahead and run it and see what it does. And then I can look back at this one. There we go. So this is something easy that I could use for rhythm, for a display to kind of show what it does. Like I can say, notice how it's all technical here. I don't know why it's teaching vibrato and intermediate. That's like really early. And then going here. So that's a very easy visual I can use. So each of these tests I'm going to record on my sheet. Okay. Now, one other thing I want to see is, I noticed in here, one of the things I wanted to investigate was the type of music, not just the curriculum for technique. So I'm going to try a new prompt, and I'm going to actually say, give me, include specific orchestra music, arrangements, and pieces. I'm going to add that because I want to see what it actually does for that. I'm going to do thinking. Let's see what ChatGPT does. So there is a core philosophy. So let's see, beginning. They do have simple ensemble music, although they're focusing on tempo and basic dynamics. This did give me some experiments, some specific materials. And so this is something else I would copy in. And I'm going quickly for the video, but I would spend some time analyzing this. So I'm going to go ahead and go back here now and see what this is saying. So it's giving me some toolkit method books, and then it's again noises to notes. Okay, Dragon Hunter. Okay, this is good. That's a good piece. Marching Away, One Bow Concerto. So these are all arrangements. There's no like, these aren't classical like classics, and they're also not ethnically diverse. Like they don't include different styles of music. So let's see when it gets to the this. We have Rhythm Dances, Warrior Legacy. This is a little better, a little more diverse. Ashokan Farewell, Rhythm Dances. What I don't like about this is actually not including as many of the classics, right? And I know that because of my expertise. So this is the basic thing I'm going to be going through. And so I might add one that says it doesn't include the classics for beginning. It just includes the fun pieces, and it doesn't include the same depth of music I would like. It's not including any holiday music, which is interesting. And that's another thing I could investigate. I might do a prompt and say, what holiday music would you recommend for a junior high orchestra at the beginning?
For beginning level junior high orchestra, you want holiday music that is accessible but still feels festive. I'd recommend something like Jingle.
Oh, apparently this is on voice recognition now. It started telling me here. I was trying to type it over here and it heard me talking. The beginning, intermediate, and advanced students can play, right? Give me specific arrangements. I want it more specific than it's doing. So I'm going to go ahead and try that prompt. So it's really just playing around and looking for patterns, thinking about what it is. Holiday celebration, holiday matchup. So what I'm curious is when we say holiday tunes, are we just doing give me more for arrangements? Tell me which specific holiday songs you would recommend. So I might do this in a back and forth for a minute, and then I might refine my prompt to see if I can get the response in just one prompt, because that'll make it easier to repeat. So we've got Jingle Bells. We do have Hanukkah. That's good. Polar Vortex. That didn't give me very many, but you see the basic idea. I can, I'm going to just say, give me a longer list. And then what I would do is refine the prompt so that I can do it multiple times consistently. Okay. Ding Dong Merrily on High, Jolly Old St. Nicholas. These are all traditional Christmas. So it did choose Hanukkah and cultural selections. Hanukkah, Spirit of Hanukkah, Gypsy Dance. A folk song, it doesn't include any Hanukkah and Christmas, but it's not including anything else. And there are some other traditions that we used to play music from. I can't pull off the top of my head, but would be good to include. And then we have General Winter and Grand Finale. So that's something to think about. So then what I'm going to be doing, and again, I would be putting all these experiments in here, and then I have a finding. And I want to think about what patterns happen in multiple iterations. So again, I'm doing this quickly, but one pattern was it focused on basic technique, way, and delayed musical interest expression, right? That's one pattern I saw. And then what's the evidence? So I can see here, I can actually list in number 1, in number 2, in number 3. If number 3 is ChatGPT, I can say number 1, number 2, number 3, or whatever. And why does it matter? It could turn, I would put here something like, it could turn students away from orchestra because it could be boring. It could also disadvantage kids that are only good at technique, or that are not so good at technique, but would really enjoy the more musical expression. Another application is that holiday focuses, in fact, I didn't even say what holiday, I think I just said holiday. Holiday, yeah, I didn't say winter holiday, in fact. That's a finding. It assumed that holiday music was Christmas and Hanukkah in the winter. It didn't include any other holidays, so that's something I could list. So those are kind of my findings, and I might have a third one. I would like to do one with like after school versus during school to see if there's any socioeconomic differences, but that's what I'm going to just do for now. Now I'm going to, when I get to this communicate, I'm going to fill this out to help me think about how I'm going to be communicating that. So I'm going to think of what's most interesting or surprising, what's my audience. I actually would think of this as music education students in orchestra, because I think they need to be thinking through these decisions and what expertise they should bring in. And then I need to think about how would I hook them at the start and leave them thinking at the end. And a lot of time an image might be good. So I could even say create an image based off of this, because I could say, is this holiday to you? And this actually might be interesting if I started out by saying, what do you think of when you think of holiday music? And then say, do you think of this? Well, what other, did you assume, because I even assumed up here that it was winter holiday. What other holidays could you mean when you say holiday music? Well, that's interesting. There you go. And I can look at race in here. Oh, we're not overly diverse in here. A little bit of diversity, not a whole lot. So that's another thing I could talk about. We have a cafetorium here, which is interesting. That's the fine. But I think the interesting catch to me is like, what do you think about when you think of holiday? And then say, were you thinking of Christmas and Hanukkah, or were you thinking of St. Patrick's Day and Veterans Day and national holidays and such? And asking them, what would be good. And I think that would be a good hook. And then from there, I could show the other patterns. All right. So for these choices, you can do it with a web page or you can do a screen recording where I create some slides and talk through it. I want to think of why. And honestly, I think for this one, a screen recording where there's that surprise element around the holiday, I think that actually might be a really good reason to do a screen recording because it kind of makes them think and it's time based. Where I can start out with, here's holiday. What do you think of that? Now, did you assume that holiday meant this? That would be good to do in a time based format. Okay? So that's how to do this first template, how to think through it. You don't have to do it exactly like me. Be creative, explore, and enjoy and have fun to see what happens.